This week, we're talking about how constantly being late gets us unfairly labelled as bad friends.
If procrastination was an Olympic sport, I would be a gold medal winner.
Yes.
If it was really important to you, you'd be here on time.
Oh, I hate that.
Stop making excuses. You're just unreliable.
The burn.
Time blindness.
Yes.
The ability to both overestimate and underestimate the amount of time something will take to do. So, like, time is not linear.
Yeah.
Time is not linear. Time is, in the Doctor Who, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, right? It is the inability to manage, but also accurately perceive time, and to track it without a clock or an alarm or some sort of reminder. Forget it. No. Yeah. I remember it was funny because going back through the memories and I almost feel like I owe you a massive apology because, there were times where in the land before mobile phones, there were times where I would be like, yeah, I'll be there at 12, not a problem. And then I'd rock up at about 1 or after 1 or something along those lines. And I couldn't call you because I'd forgotten it was Sunday, which meant that the buses only came once an hour.
Yeah.
And then I'd sort of left it to the last minute to actually, leave the house to catch the bus. So because for some reason I thought as soon as I stepped out of my door, I'd magically be at the bus stop because I hadn't accounted for the time it would actually take to get there. Or I'd think that I could make a 5-minute walk in 2 minutes. And then I'd be surprised when I missed the bus.
Yeah.
And then I'd get to your place and you'd be really upset with me, quite rightly, because I was an hour late. You didn't know where I was and we had no method of communication.
Yeah, and a lot of that was coming from a place of like worry and fear about you as well. It was like, is she okay? Particularly being like a teenage girl navigating public transport by herself in the 90s. It was a wild time. Like a lot of that came from a safety perspective. But I could
and there
have
was
also
the creepy
been more
guy who
understanding.
came to the bus stop too, and who was like, doing inappropriate things from time to time. So it wasn't exactly like the safest time to be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's interesting as you say that too. And like at the time, I think, neither of us knew what our brains were and what was going on. And it's really interesting as you say that too, because I experienced exactly the same thing. And it's like, for me, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. And so time for me, it's like, unless even the numbers on a clock, and it's really tricky. Even when I'm in session with clients, I've got a visual timer next to me to actually show me the minutes clicking down, because the numbers don't actually mean anything. In the moment. And so it's like my compensation strategy, was that I would overcompensate and I would over buffer. So I would be like the loser that was there at the bus stop like 18 minutes before the bus is due to arrive, waiting for the bus to get on the bus, to be there. And then I would go 2 buses early to make sure that if anything happened, and I'm always early, like I'm always constantly chronically early to places, or I'm lying to myself in my head about what time I need to be somewhere. So I arrive 15 minutes late because on paper I'm 15 minutes late. But in reality, I'm actually still 15 minutes early.
Well, my husband does say if you're not early, you're late. So
yeah,
that's been an interesting shift for me in our relationship as well. Because when we met, I would always be running late until I sort of realized how much it upset him.
Yeah.
And so for him, I think as well for a lot of friends, there's this misconception that it's about respect, right?
Yes.
If you respected me, you would be able to leave earlier. If you respected me, you would be here on time. Like I had a friend once leave a catch up because I got there 45 minutes late. In fact, I never actually made it there because he texted me to say, I deserve better than this. I'm leaving. And, I was 25 minutes late. I spent 20 minutes trying to find a park because I grossly underestimated like what time of year it was and how busy the car park was going to be. So when he left and he sent me this message, and I just, oh my God, the crushing guilt was horrendous. And, I kept trying to call and call. I just wanted to make it right because, I had clearly done the wrong thing. He was upset with me. And, there was the rejection sensitivity dysphoria was 100% kicking in at that point. And we're still friends, right? We've been friends for 20 years. And now he makes jokes about it, which is great because he understands that that's a part of me. But at that time, this was probably about 15 years ago, it was a different, he's still sort of still really getting to know a person at that point.
But it's interesting you say that they're like, I deserve better than this. And then, someone saying that and you saying I've done the wrong thing. But I want to pause on that for a moment because this is where I get a bit wild about this and I get a little bit passionate about it because it's like, had you done everything in your power to try and be on time? Like you probably set reminders, you packed things out, you did things, but there's this inability in our brains to manage that. It's not a lack of effort. In fact, we spend so much of our time overcompensating and it's still not enough. It's like an unrealistic, unfair expectation.
Yeah, I think you're right in a lot of ways there. Like for me, most neurotypical people, when I try to explain it to them, they get this kind of blank look on their faces, like I don't understand what you're talking about because, say for example, I have a standing Friday night get together.
Yeah.
Right. I go to a friend's house every Friday night and it's a lot of fun. But before I leave, I have to remember everything that I need to bring along with me. Am I bringing along, something to drink that night? If I'm bringing the dog, do I need to bring the dog treats? Like, where's his lead? Where's his collar? And so it's in this kind of mashup, I guess, beforehand. You're winding down from the end of the work day. You're, feeling, maybe it was a big week or something along those lines. But sometimes I'll be late because I will have forgotten 3 or 4 things and I've got to go back. And so there's often this inability to also understand that the effort of remembering everything that you have to bring, even if you've brought the same thing for 10 weeks in a row, is still effort.
Yeah.
It's not effortless. It doesn't just come naturally. I've got to stand there in the kitchen and look around and go, am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something. And that feeling of, have I forgotten something, is so predominant because of the past experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And even I find it sounds really stupid, but like on the public transport example, I go, okay, I've got to catch the bus number 123 at 8:05 a.m. And then I leave the house and like, what number was the bus? What time was it? And it's like, and constantly that double checking. And then on top of that, you've got this, I've got 5 minutes. And then in my head, in 5 minutes, I could like cure cancer. Like, it's that inability to kind of go, what is 5 minutes? How much time, how many tasks can I realistically put into that space?
And from a philosophical perspective, right? Like, what is 5 minutes? Like 5 minutes is the time I feel like I could literally like take like Play-Doh and stretch to make it as long as I want it to be. Like some mornings, just remember like the alarm going off and then like just 5 minutes more, just 5 minutes more. And then sometimes that 5 minutes could feel like an eternity, right? Because we're half dozing and it feels amazing and warm and you wake up and that was all you needed. And then sometimes that 5 minutes is, literally like pulling teeth. It feels like it had gone by like that. And so in that 5 minutes, you're right. Like, I can totally have a shower and put on makeup and get dressed and take the dog for a walk.
It's totally fine. All achievable. All totally fine.
In that because time for us, like humans in general, we use an internal timing system to judge or estimate time. That's just a typical thing. Some of us have the ability to wake up at the same time every morning, and that's amazing. But science says that ADHD people's internal timing systems can often either run too fast or too slow. And I feel like or not at all. Mine was broken at the point of delivery. I didn't realize until the warranty had expired. And sometimes we focus on the now. And of course, the plans and the things that we've committed to are very much all in the then. And the time in between the now and the then, it's just not linear. Yeah. And so
sometimes
that blind optimism too, like it'll all just work out. It'll all be fine.
It'll be fine. And but the thing is, getting to it's actually a real scientific, like this is a real limitation that exists within our brains. It's a real difficulty that happens. And, people say, I'll set more reminders. And, yes, there's things we can do like visualizing, tick lists of things before we go, having everything in its place, all of that sort of stuff, setting multiple reminders. But if the reminder goes off and I'm in another room and I'm not in the moment doing the thing, it might as well not go off. Like this is a real difficulty.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with birthdays, reminders, all the rest of it. I can set a million reminders, but as they pop up on my phone, if I swipe them away and go, oh yeah, I'll get to that, it's as well as just, blowing that out the window. Like, I need visual things, right? I need something that is like right in front of my face. And yes, an alarm helps. But the amount of times where I've set 5 alarms and by the 4th one, I want to throw my phone in the toilet. Doesn't always work,
Doesn't work.
And I think for like, because if I had to set a reminder for everything, then my phone would just be constantly pinging. It would constantly be going off with all the reminders and things that I have or that I need to do. And because I don't look at the date and go, oh, it's the 20th, it's so-and-so's birthday. I go, oh, it's the 20th. That's nice. And then off my merry way. And then I might get to 9 o'clock that night or 5 minutes to midnight. And then I'll be in bed and I'll sit bolt upright and go, oh my God, it's my dad's birthday. And then I'll send a text message and be like, oh, haha, snuck in 5 minutes early, or sort of like 5 minutes late. Before the deadline. But it's the time blindness. It extends from everything from planning, mapping to assignments and presentations, essay, and all just kind of believing that we can do it the night before, or that people aren't going to be offended. And I think that's so from a strategy, from a coping mechanism perspective. It was something I adopted really, really early, which was if I snuck it in over the line, people won't get mad at me because I did it. Yeah. And so either for friends or for relationships, it can often feel like if you've gone out the day before and gotten a birthday present, not because you know that person's going to love it, but more just because, oh, it's their birthday and I need to get them something. So there hasn't been a lot of thought. Maybe it's been a little bit last minute. Maybe you got the present 30 minutes before you rocked up at their house. In our brains, it can be like, oh, I did the thing. I did the social norm. I got them a present. But at the same time, the other person can feel like because there was what they perceive to be a lack of thought, it can mean that they can feel just really unimportant. And so if we tell ourselves, oh, my strategy works, but the other person is holding that resentment because it's like, well, last year I put in all this effort for you and this year you just got me a bunch of flowers. Like that can be a bit hurtful for some people and completely understandably as well, because we love it when other people put the thought and the energy and the effort into us. But we can't always do it for other people. Sometimes it's really hard. Yeah.
And I think that's a really important one to touch on too, about how other people feel about this. And it's, for me, a big part of this has been advocating for myself and explaining, right? This is not a you thing. This is a me thing. And the way you can help me.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. It's a me thing. Yeah, it's not you, it's me, right? So it's like if it looks uncaring, but it's, planning in an event or something to do for your birthday specifically. So then it's like there's the reminder that that's the birthday and that's when we'll acknowledge it, even if it's a separate date. Or lie to me about when an event starts. When you actually need me there, feel free to lie to me. And I used to do that all the time before I even knew what it was with you.
All the time. And except for that time when I went, I'm going to be there on time. I'm going to be there on time and it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. I'm doing this, like, I don't know, maybe I was in like peak.
You had your mum with you and her coping strategy is my coping strategy of being early. That's what it was.
At the time when I rocked up at your house.
I'd lied to Dad as well, because my dad literally will run 2 to 3 hours late, like all the time. We used to joke when we lived on the east coast of Australia that he ran on Perth time. And so I would just
And
lie to
then he
him
moved
about
to
what time he needed me, because it's hard. Like as a child, you can feel really unimportant when the person you want to be there is there or late or misses the thing again. And so from a young age, I just started lying to him about what time he needed to be there. And then he would be there sort of more on time or closer to time. And then I started doing the same thing with you. And then at one time it was a birthday party, and I'd said to him 2 hours early, I'd said to you 1 hour early, and I told the rest of the guests the actual time. And you had your mum with you. He had a partner with him who both were able to manage time and get there. And so you arrived, and like I was still like just fresh out of the shower, and I was like, welcome, come in, that's fine.
Make yourself comfortable.
Yeah. But then all the lies came tumbling down. But that's something really helpful that you can do as somebody that is supporting someone with time blindness. Like we talk about this friendship and it being like it's a two-way thing. But it's like that's other ways that people can actively support us with it, because it's not a lack of effort. It's not that we're bad friends for that. It's not that we're not trying. Often we are turning ourselves in knots because it's really hard.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like if we're trying to segment everything in our lives into one big bulk load of stuff to do, right? So it might be planning a birthday party or something along those lines, or it could even just be, organizing a group of friends to go out. And sometimes I feel like I have to do everything in relation to that broader task all at once, and can get really overwhelming. And then the dopamine runs out sort of about halfway through, and then everything feels like a massive slog uphill. And a colleague told me this recently, and it's something that it's something that I've coined the elephant crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what he said to me was, don't eat the whole elephant in one go. And it's something that's really resonated with me, because it's exactly what I've been trying to do my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's a weird expression, right? Because you would never eat an elephant. But just imagine that you have this whole elephant, and someone says, right, you've got 30 days to do it. You've got 30 days to eat it. And so for most people, they would take a little bit at a time, eat it over a period. But for me, it's kind of like, oh, look, there's bread and cheese available. And I would prefer to eat that. So I really don't feel like eating the elephant, but I know I have to do it. And so some parts of the elephant are just downright unpleasant, but it's got to be done.
Yeah.
And I've convinced myself that I can get through it. I can eat it in a whole day or two, or, I can, my stomach can stretch that far, and I can make it happen through sheer force of will. So I'm coining it the elephant crisis.
I love it. But that's how our brains work, right? There's the time dysphoria, but there's also that difficulty in being able to see what's urgent and what's important, and being able to delineate that. So everything seems like this one big thing, and I've got heaps of time to do it. It's not a big deal. And then you get there later, and I find when I work with clients on this, it's very much just like, what's the intent? Like, what is the outcome you're trying to achieve? Like, what is the goal of this, right? If it's for that person to feel special on their birthday, okay, well, what's 2 things that you could do that will help you do that? So it kind of helps to dilute the noise a bit. Yeah.
And just create an external brain.
Yeah.
Outsource it. Stop beating yourself up all the time going, oh, I should remember this. Why doesn't my brain work like this? I should be able to remember. Just accept the fact that your brain works differently, and maybe you need a little bit of additional external help, and that's okay.
Hey, absolutely.
Our internal brains, our internal time blindness, they may not work as well as other people, but we do other things just as well or even better. And so there's this comparison of, and again, when we talk about internalized ableism, we talk about the fact that we've been told our whole lives that you should be able to manage this by yourself. You shouldn't have to rely on external sources or
you should be on time.
You should be on time, exactly. But you have to do the things that work for you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can only set so many alarms and so many reminders, but what else works? Like for me, I've got a whiteboard next to my desk. Mm-hmm. My husband uses a countdown clock. I got him from an online website that, has a really loud, annoying beep you can hear through the whole house when that goes off. Having a countdown or something like that. Like no one can really tell you. No one can really tell you what's going to work.
Yeah.
You just have to do it.
Yeah. Sorry. And even like, being able to use, and I know AI is quite controversial, but even being able to use that, or using a friend, using someone else to externalize your thoughts and be able to put it out there to help you work out what's important. And if you know what's that 5-minute question before we go, these tasks take 5 minutes. You can choose one. You can do one of these things. And then if you need to do two, send the text at that moment saying you're going to be late.
Yeah.
You know,
I also find like, I think the thing that also really upset me once upon a time was that it's the mental load of having to work backwards. So I find that if I lay out all the steps in a chronological order, or I lay out all the steps, let's face it, as they come to me, as I think of them, and then prioritize them, and then I work backwards rather than starting at the end and then working backwards and trying to think of things in a backwards order, it doesn't work for me so much. But, you know, I find that if I underestimate how much time each of those tasks are going to take, I'm still running late, I'm still really stressed, and I get there sort of really flustered, and then that energy sort of really comes forth as well. If I slightly overestimate how much time it's going to take me and I get there early, rather than kind of going, oh, I'm such a dog, I arrived early, which is how I used to feel. I have an audiobook in the car and I'm listening to the audiobook, but I've got a timer set, you know, it's like the stop playing timer. And then as soon as it stops playing, then you take a breath. I say to myself out loud, it's like, Hanna is going to go do this. And then I go do it. And then that's my task switching.
Love it. Love it. So it's about finding things that work for you as the person who has difficulty with managing and understanding the concept of time. And if you're the friend of somebody that has this difficulty, asking ways that you can help or support them. So is it lying about when the time starts? Is it sending them a little reminder? Is it actually being able to support them, sending them a calendar invite for your birthday? Like, what are some of those things that you can also do? Because friendship is a two-way thing. And there are things that you find hard that they find easy, and I'm sure they help you out. So how can we create that rather than it's a failed expectation? And to quote your friend, I deserve better.
I love that. Well, I think that's all we've got time for at the moment. So if you've had an experience where you feel like you've been a bad friend, or maybe you're the friend who's labelled that to somebody, we would love to hear from you. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with another episode.
Until then, stay spicy.
Stay spicy.
You're listening to the NeuroSpice Life podcast
with Hanna and Freya, besties, brains, and more.
If you've enjoyed listening, follow us on YouTube or your favourite podcast app and share it with someone else who knows the sting of a sticky label.
We'll see you next time. Until then, stay spicy, stay wonderful.